Buzzy loves this racetrack as well, has had some good runs here. In fact, ran this car back at the North-South Shootout last November and had a chance to win it in the waning moments of that race. Came up just a little bit short, but that kind of put the things in motion for this combination of Mike Smith, Andretti is what we call him, and Tommy Buzzy and that clan to kind of come together and work for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic Championship in 2024. We will be back here, the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, on July 6th with the revolutionary 99. That'll be a lot of fun once we get back to this high horsepower half mile of Caraway Speedway. Looks like we are just about ready to go. The team has moved away from that number 25. He will be the first car out for qualifying here at Caraway Speedway. So without further ado, the number 25 out of Maiden, North Carolina, and the Mark III Financial Units Moving and Storage Buzzy Racing race car. That's a Troyer machine owned by Mike Smith. It's Tommy Buzzy Jr. Buzzy, a best third here back in 2018 in the old SMRS series. We mentioned that good run in the North-South Shootout. Hopefully has a good run during qualifying here. I will tell you, we are having some transponder issues, I should say scoring issues, up here with Race Monitor in the tower, so they are trying to figure that out right now. (16.667), lap one for Tommy Buzzy Jr. First car out to qualify. Next up, in the number 22 out of Advance, North Carolina, in the Carolina drilling machine for Tutterow Racing. That's a Fury race car with an ECR engine underneath the hood. It's Jason Tutterow. Tutterow, a little bit under the weather this morning, climbed behind the wheel of this race car. Says, you know what, that made me feel a lot better. Hoping for a good run here today. We appreciate the support of Carolina Drilling for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic throughout the entire 2024 season. 16.926, 16.926 for Jason Tutterow on his first lap. We'll see if he can do just a little bit better on this second lap. He's going to need to gain a bunch of time here. Can he get it done? 16.735 for Jason Tutterow. That's second quick. Coming up next, he had a top 10 run here last year at this racetrack. He's out of Reedy Creek, North Carolina, in the number 21 machine. Carolina Drilling on the side of this race car as well for Tutterow Racing. That's a Fury race car with that ECR engine powering that machine at this racetrack for Jimmy Wallace. Jimmy Wallace has been running here at Caraway Speedway for a long, long time. His best run back in 2021, where he scored a 5th place finish. Coming down to the white flag. They are working on the scoring, is what we are told. Race Monitor, we are told, is down right now. (16.675), the top time for Jimmy Wallace. Next car on the racetrack, the number 12 out of Louisville, North Carolina, in the Jerry Hunt Supercenters. Sievert Auto, AJP Transport, Mega Plumbing of the Carolinas, Kevin Says Yes.com. That's a Mike Norman Motorsports Troyer machine for Cody Norman. Cody Norman the champion of the Carolina Crate Modified Series 2 years ago. Trying his hand at big-time modified racing, and he goes way up the racetrack, locked up those brakes, and it looks like he might have something wrong with the left front on that machine. He stops the car without hitting the wall down in turn number 4. A broken tie rod, we are being told, on the left front of that 31 machine. Cody paying tribute to Zach Brewer here today at Caraway Speedway. We lost Zach earlier this week, and the entire modified community definitely feeling for that family. Zach Brewer meant so much to the modified world, to the entire racing world, honestly. A competitor back in the old Goodies Dash series as well. He used to run the number 31 machine, and he used to work for Cody's dad, Mike Norman. And that's why Cody is sporting that number 31 on the side of his car here at Caraway today. Before that tie rod issue down in the corner 3 and 4, he was going to be coming around for his second lap. Cody Norman did get to P1 on the board with a 16.647. 16.647 for Cody Norman in the 31 prior to that mechanical mishap down in 3 and 4. Plenty of qualifying to go here. Everybody vying for the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award today for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. After qualifying, drivers in the top 8 will gather. The pole sitter will actually draw a pill out of a hat that'll have a number 4, 6, or 8. And that will determine how many drivers will redraw for the starting lineup towards the head of the field for today's Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. This is race number 2 on the season for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. And since 2000, Pace-O-Matic has assembled an incredibly talented team from top to bottom, built on the grounds of integrity, innovation, and compliance, all of which aligns perfectly with the world of motorsports. As an entertainment company that develops gaming software that players love to play, Pace-O-Matic is all about giving back to local communities, small businesses, and now motorsports. To learn more about their history, business, and charitable works, check out their social media outlets or visit their website at paceomatic.com. That's Pace-O-Matic, proud supporter of grassroots initiatives and proud presenting sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour. Just last week, we were down in South Carolina, Florence Motor Speedway. Carson Lofton grabbing the win down there. We mentioned 15 years, 11 months, and 3 days. He became the youngest winner in Smart Modified history. Bert Myers, the defending series champion, finished second and rounding out the podium. And a brand new ride this year out of South Bend, Indiana, former Daytona 500 winner Ryan Newman, and the Randy Renfro prepared number 2 machine. Fourth place was Joey Coulter, former winner on the NASCAR Camping World, Craftsman Truck Series. Coulter in the 02 machine got a good-looking ride, that flat gray painted machine down in the infield. He was just outside of the top 10 today during practice. Luke Baldwin rounded out the top 5. Baldwin, one of those teenagers. The youth has certainly gone wild in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, and he's in that Sadler Stanley Racing Machine, the number 7 VA this year, battling for the Racing Electronics Rookie of the Year award for the Smart Modified Tour. Baldwin comes from a lineage of a modified family. His granddad, Tiger Tom Baldwin, one of the best to ever sit behind the wheel of a modified in the Northeast for sure. a winner on Long Island, all over the country, Martinsville, you name it. Tiger Tom was truly a character and a darn good chauffeur of one of these beautiful modifieds. His son, Tommy Baldwin, was very famous. He crew chiefed many modifieds, including for that of Steve Park back in the day in a championship equation with Tony Hirschman. And now Tommy Baldwin, we all know him because he's a former Daytona 500 winning crew chief for Ward Burton. Still working in the NASCAR ranks, but also Tommy now a cancer survivor. We're really excited that he was able to overcome cancer this past winter, battled that out. But if anybody could, it certainly would be Tommy. He is tough as nails. And his two sons, certainly the apple didn't fall far from the tree, either from granddad or dad, because Luke Baldwin, a very good pilot on one of these modifieds. Top 5 last week at Florence, and winning at Florence was his brother in the Carolina Crate Modified Series, Jack Baldwin, a student at Appalachian State University. Slate Myers, you talk about another generation of the Myers family. Slate Myers also on hand with his Carolina Crate Modified here. That will do battle a little bit later on today. We thank you for watching FloRacing for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic portion of today's show at Caraway Speedway. After the Smart Modified Tour Warrior 100 race, all the other divisions will be aired on, CarawaySpeedway.tv as well as Pit Row TV. Good-looking rides in the Smart Modified Tour. Gary Young Jr., new paint scheme on that black and orange number 45 here at Caraway Speedway. He debuted those colors last week at Florence. We need to get some hydraulic fluid in these chairs up in the booth here because they have a mind to their own. They're up or down. You never know which way they're going to go. But with the reason why we're under a caution during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying is because Cody Norman, after his first lap, which was quickest so far here in qualifying, with a time of 16.647. Looks like he might have had some broken front suspension, maybe a tie rod on the left front of that machine as he climbs out to the attention of his crew on pit road. We mentioned the passing of Zach Brewer this past week, and all of us feeling that here. And the Bell Helmet stage number 1 for today's Warrior 100 usually is at lap 30, but because he carried that 31 for so long throughout his racing career, the conclusion of Bell Helmet stage number 1 during the Warrior 100 will come at the conclusion of lap 31. Back to qualifying we go. Now on the racetrack, one of the fan favorites in the number 4 out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina. In the Carolina Drilling, Greg Butcher Trucking, QRC HVAC and Refrigeration, PSR machine owned by Gary Myers. It's the working man, Jason Myers. Fortunately, it looks like we have Race Monitor back in action, so we'll be able to bring you the times of all of these laps during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying to you rather quickly. 16.800 for Jason Myers' first lap. For Jason Myers, not able to beat Cody Norman's first lap of a 16.647. But Myers loves Caraway Speedway, has been coming here for a long time, coming to the checkered flag right now for Jason Myers. 16.632. 16.632. Top time so far during qualifying for the working man, Jason Myers. Now on the racetrack, making his first start with the Smart Modified Tour of 2024. In the number 66 car, he's out of Danielville, Pennsylvania. In the LOI Kits Industrial Services Oil and Heating Machine for Austin Kochenash. Austin, a 2-time winner with the Race of Champions Modified Series. That series, Pennsylvania, New York, many great racetracks. Kochenash with a time of 16.838 on the first lap. 16.838 for the 66. He's got to beat a time of 16.632. Can he do it on his second lap? His second lap, second quick, 16.676. Very consistent times for the early qualifiers today here for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Now on the racetrack, this kid turned heads 1 week ago at Florence Motor Speedway in South Carolina. He is a road racing kid, running modifieds for the first time. In fact, the first time in a tour type modified came 1 week ago at Florence, and he scored a top 10 finish. Out of Northport, New York, in that 77 machine with Skip Barber Racing on the side. That's a PSR race car with Mike Curtis as the crew chief. It's Will Lambrose. Lambrose expects to run almost the entire schedule with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. He has 2 conflicts with his IMSA schedule. He's a road racing kid, 20 years old, out of Long Island. And Lambrose with a time of 16.835, first lap, 16.835. See if he can do just a little bit better. A former Legends competitor here at Caraway Speedway. Lambrose goes to third quick. Scratch that. Lambrose goes to the top of the board, 16.491, 16.491 for Will Lambrose. Nice to see this car back with us after he missed the big dance, the season opener at Florence Motor Speedway 1 week ago. In the number 18 out of Lexington, North Carolina, and the Yates Grading and Paving PSR. That's a Yates spec engine underneath the hood for Daniel Yates. Yates has had some good runs here. A former top 10 finisher at Caraway Speedway, former winner at Bowman Gray Stadium as well. White flag out for Daniel Yates. First lap, 16.874 for the 18. You can see he's got his numbers on the rear quarter panels, a new design for Daniel Yates this year on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Coming down to the checkered flag. What can he do? Daniel Yates moves up to second quick. 16.627 for Daniel Yates out of Lexington, North Carolina. Now on the racetrack, one of the drivers, and I say one of the drivers, out of Connecticut. He's out of Newtown in the number 79 for David Hill and Hillbilly Motorsports. That is a Troyer race car with a Tony's Race engine. It's Anthony Bello. Anthony Bello ran down at Smyrna Speed Weeks during the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. Turned in some good performances. Last year he had a top 5 finish. White flag is out for Anthony Bello. Bello, fifth quick, 16.650 first lap. 2 times a winner of SK Modified competition at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut, right outside of Hartford. Checkered flag, Anthony Bello to the top of the board. 16.329 for Bello in the 79. Nice run for Anthony Bello, who is still a senior in high school. He will graduate in June. Here comes the next driver on the racetrack in the number 45 out of Burlington, North Carolina. In the Ideal Comfort Heating and Air PSR Products, Gary Young Sr. owned machine for Gary Young Jr. Gary, a top 10 finish on the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic last year. That car scooted up the track a little bit, right in the center of the corner. He's got to get that turn just a little bit better. Struggled with some tire stagger last week at Florence, was outside the top 10. Gary Young Jr. first lap, 16.690 for Gary Young Jr. A former crate modified winner here at Caraway Speedway. Young right down there at the bottom of the racetrack, coming off the corner, trying to propel him to a good qualifying run. He moves up to third, 16.495 for Gary Young Jr. We have 277s here today in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. The next one now on the racetrack for his qualifying run. That's the 77 out of Concord, North Carolina, formerly of Connecticut, in the Curb Records Mohawk Stock Car Steel and Aluminum SRI Performance Sunoco Race Fuels Troyer machine for Gary Putnam. Gary Putnam, a long-time modified guy. Crew chief for the likes of Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin back in the day. Carl and Charlie Pastriak at tracks like Thompson and Stafford Speedways in Connecticut. Gary Putnam, fourth quick first lap. Pretty good. 16.574 for Gary Putnam. Putnam going to want to pick it up just a little bit here. A former Tour Type Modified winner at Rougemont, North Carolina. Putnam second quick, 16.437. 16.437 for Gary Putnam. Anthony Bello still with the top time. 16.329 is what everybody is aiming for. Checking out the racetrack right now, making sure it is clear for our next competitor to go out. Did not have the run that he wanted during the season opener last week at Florence Motor Speedway. Battled with the handling on this S&S racing ride. That's the 16 out of Oxford, North Carolina. In the Pace-O-Matic Aggressive Hydraulics race car, that's a PSR chassis for Jonathan Cash. Cash has run here at Caraway Speedway several times. Scored a top 10 finish in the Pro Cup Series. Remember that series back in 2008. Now adjusting to the high horsepower world of the mighty modifieds with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Cash coming around to complete his first lap. Still waiting for scoring to reset. Did not see a time pop up for him. He's got it right at the bottom of this racetrack. Let's see what he does on his second lap. And we have nothing up here in the tower. We'll try to get clarification momentarily here at Caraway Speedway. $16,544 for Jonathan Cash. Right now, the time to beat 16.329. 16.329. Now on the racetrack. If you watch Florence Motor Speedway's race last week, you're not going to recognize this car because it's a completely new paint scheme for Jimmy Blewett out of Howell, New Jersey. Blewett so good here at Caraway in the North-South shootout. Blewett looking for a good run here. Race monitor is down again. Wesley, if we can count on you to give us some times here. Blewett now on the racetrack. Good looking ride this week for Jimmy Blewett. 16.460 for Jimmy Blewett. Blewett running that Jamie Tomeno owned car. That is a Troyer machine. Now on the racetrack. This guy, one of the best ever to grace the wheel of the cars that live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower. Out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, in the Smart Chevy Boykin Spaniel Rescue, Collier Trucking, Florida Connection, Long Island Mod Maniac, Hirschman Garage and Speed Troyer. That's big money. Matt Hirschman in the 60. Coming a white flag for Matt Hirschman. Awaiting Matt Hirschman's first time. 16.269. 16.269. That is top of the heap for Matt Hirschman. 16.229. Number one on the board for big money, Matt Hirschman. We apologize for the delay in getting you the times. We're doing the best we can, shouting across the tower here because race monitor is down. Now on the racetrack, here's a former NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner in the 02 out of Miami Springs, Florida. In the Torch Eyewear Molecule Air Shock Drive Refine SRI Performance Bilstein Shocks machine. That's a Fury race car he debuted last year for Joey Coulter. Coulter, a two-time winner, Smart Modified Tour competition, one of them coming here at Caraway. 16.715. He's going to need to pick it up just a little bit to try to crack into the top 8 to have a chance at the redraw. Coulter, admittedly, has struggled in qualifying. Checkered flag is out for the Florida driver. 16.477. 16.477. Much better second lap for Joey Coulter. Now on the racetrack, his teammate at Coulter Motorsports in the number 2 out of South Bend, Indiana. In the Shitty Coolers, Capital Automotive Group, Aggressive Hydraulics, Montrose Molders Corporation, PSR Machine out of South Bend, Indiana, the Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Newman. Gotta love the sponsor on the side of that race car. Ryan Newman, podium run last week at Florence. White flag is in the air for him. 16.413. 16.413 for Ryan Newman. Very good first lap. Time to beat 16.229. Coming off the corner, Newman on the mat. 16.381. 16.381 for Ryan Newman. By our calculations, looking half at Race Monitor and half of what we're writing down on our sheet, I believe that is third quick for Ryan Newman. This guy has a lot of history in modified racing, certainly up in the Northeast. He now drives the Gumley number 27 out of Jackson, New Jersey in the Amazing Graphics DMAC Pool Scott Car Engineering LFR for Blake Barney. His granddad, Dick Barney, owned modifieds for the likes of Tony Siscone, wins at Wall Stadium, New Jersey for so long. His dad, Robert Barney, continued that tradition, and now Blake Barney behind the wheel himself. 16.617, first lap for Blake Barney. Last week at Florence Motor Speedway, Barney was running in the top 10 for most of the race, finished in the 15th spot. 16.421. 16.421. That should put him in the top 5 so far here during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying for the Smart Modified Tour. Next up on the racetrack will be one of the most successful drivers ever in modified racing at Caraway Speedway. 18 Tour-type modified wins for this next driver. He is out of Lexington, North Carolina. Beautiful red and white Shady Grady racing machine with L&R transmission, Steve's Tires and Automotive. Unique coatings on the side of that Troyer for Brian Lofton. 2 wins with the Smart Modified Tour here at this racetrack. Coming back in 2004. Remember, NASCAR took over Tour-type modified racing in 2005 in this area of the country. So Smart went away for a long time until 2020 when it came back, and that's when Lofton won again. Lofton always a threat for the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. 16.575, first lap for Brian Lofton. Checkered flag has waved, awaiting the time. Second quick for Brian Lofton, 16.362 for Brian Lofton. Nice to have this next gentleman back with us. He missed the series opener 1 week ago in South Carolina. He's out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, in the A-Best forklift of Millbridge Viper graphics machine. That is a PSR race car for Johnny K, Johnny Kaven. Always love bright colored race cars because you never miss them on the racetrack. Could be good for all of you, could be bad if he's involved in a mishap and might have caused it, because the officials will see it probably a little bit more. White flag in the air for Johnny K. 16.680 for Johnny K. First lap, got one more to go in 3 and 4. Johnny K going to try to get quick back to the gas here. Checkered flag is waving. A little slower on that second lap, so his first lap of a 16.680 will stand for Johnny Kaven. Another former winner here at Caraway Speedway is on the racetrack. A former winner in the UARA late model stock car world back in the day out of Statesville, North Carolina, and the Cherokee Unlimited All-American Roofing and Restoration Troyer, the 12 PA of Jake the Snake Crum. Jake Crum, a phenom in the late model stock car world, now transitioning to the high horsepower modified world last year. Ran with us on 4 different occasions. Good first lap for Jake Crum, 16.471. His wife also competing with us in the late model stock cars here today. Woohoo! 16.151. That's top of the board for Jake Crum. Impressive time. He beats Matt Hirschman. Will that time of 16.151 stand, though? That is the question. And now on the racetrack, last year's Warrior 100 winner at Caraway Speedway. A new ride for him here this year with that 04 for New Day Motorsports. Kevin says yes.com on the side of this one for Winston-Salem, North Carolina driver Brandon Ward. Ward, runner-up in the championship standings the past 2 seasons for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. 16.428, pretty good. The last time we had a 42, that was Jake Crum. He set fast time. Brandon Ward knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. Checkered flag is out. He's competed here in mods, Pro Cup, and a lot more. 16.346 should get him in the top 8. And then afterwards, the pole sitter will redraw a 4, a 6, or an 8. And by virtue of whatever is selected, that amount of drivers will redraw for their starting spot in tonight's Warrior 100. This guy is a fan favorite here in Southern Modified Racing. Driving the number 1 out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, and the Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners Peanut Patch Backyard Leisure Pool and Spas PSR. That number 1 for Bert the Ace Myers. Myers with a second place run last week at Florence. 16.486, good first lap for Myers. Myers won the Revolutionary 99 last year here at Caraway. 16.386 for Bert Myers. Good run for him. Definitely top 10 right now. Should put him in the top 8 with just a few cars left in qualifying. We apologize for not having the exact running order of qualifying right now, but at least we're able to give you the qualifying times. Wesley Outland across the tower here shouting out those qualifying times because Race Monitor is currently down. Now on the racetrack in the number 7 VA. Driver of the SNS Racing Pace-O-Matic Mohawk Northeast Willwood Brakes Machine. That's a PSR race car for Luke Baldwin out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Baldwin 5th place 1 week ago at Florence. 16.525 first lap for the teenager. Baldwin got to pick it up a little bit here. And if anybody can, he is a hard-charging race car driver now to the checkered flag. 16.339 for Luke Baldwin. Good qualifying run for him. Top time during qualifying so far, a 16.151. We can tell you second place right now is a 16.229 for Matt Hirschman. Looks like right now, unofficially, Luke Baldwin is third quick. This driver was red hot at the end of last season, winning 2 out of the final 3 races for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. in the 18 V8 out of Corpus Christi, Texas. In the Cookout Coca-Cola units moving in storage, Pace-O-Matic car for SNS Racing. That's a PSR machine for Bobby Labonte, former NASCAR Cup Series champion and Hall of Famer. (16.451) Bobby Labonte, first lap. Want to say hello to Senator Stanley if he's watching here today. Checkered flag in the air. 16.212 for Bobby Labonte. That puts him second quick during Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying. 2 cars left in qualifying. The next driver has never won a Smart Modified Tour event, but he is a 16-time winner in NASCAR Modified competition at Bowman Gray Stadium in the number 24 machine out of Freehold, New Jersey. That's Amerifast Supply on the side of this Buddy Ellis number 24 for Danny Bone. Danny Bone, a third-generation race car driver. His granddad, Parker, famous from the Northeast. His dad, Eddie, a former Turkey Derby winner at Walt Stadium. Now let's see what Danny Bone can do here at this racetrack. Awaiting the time. 16.416 for the 2-time winner in Tour Type Modified competition at Caraway. Checkered flag in the air. Can that do any better for the number 24? 3.36, 16.336. A little bit better for Danny Bone. The final car to qualify, now on the racetrack. And it was an unbelievable scene in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane 1 week ago. 15 years old, 11 months and 3 days to be exact. For this driver out of Lexington, North Carolina with L&R Transmissions, LeBlue Bottled Water, QMF Metal Fabrication for this PSR. It's Carson Lofton, the kid. Lofton, quickest in practice earlier today at Caraway Speedway. First lap for Carson Lofton. 16.400 for Carson Lofton. Does he have a shot? At the time set by Jake Crum, 16.151. Lofton to the line in qualifying. Second quick for Carson Lofton. 16.199. So a 16.151 for Jake Crum will get him the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. Second quick, 16.191 for Carson Lofton. Pretty close during qualifying here for Carson Lofton and Jake Crum. A 151 to a 199. Now the top 8 will be making their way to the Hoosier Tire Truck. And that is where Jake Crum will select out of a bag chips that have a 4, a 6, and an 8 on it. Whatever he selects, that amount of drivers will redraw for their starting spot for the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. We hope you're enjoying the coverage. Pace-O-Matic Pole Award qualifying now complete for the Smart Modified Tour. Here in the grandstands, we appreciate you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. If you're watching on FloRacing, make sure you continue to do so throughout the entire season. Each and every one of the races for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic will be on FloRacing. My producer, Matt Smith, alongside. We got a couple of cameras here today. It's a blustery day at Caraway Speedway. You can see the American flag and the state flag of North Carolina on the front stretch blowing pretty good here. After 25 cars qualified for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. We'll take a quick break here on FloRacing and make sure we come back. We'll let you know what happens with the draw and then line up the starting field for today's Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway.
Thank you, Bob Dillner, again. Hey, listen, if you were one of the Pole Award winners for the late model stocks, the 602 mods, the Carolina Pro, or the Smart